Because as far as the Aroyas are concerned, they got the din of tzibah. The Rebbeinu Shalom will forgive that, or at least tolerate it. But on the matter of behavior, lo yitokin, will not ignore that. Chilul Shabbos, that he says, Rabim, Chilul Shabbos is widespread now, presumably in his town where he lived, in Vince, Meshech Chochmah. After the Rebbeinu Shalom won't mete out any punishment because they're a tzibah. In the Sifra, Nefesh, it says the Gemara Darshans, because a tzibah is not cut off. But when the community actually commit crimes of nimusios, of midas, hashros and midios, then it's very, very different. They go violently among each other, and they steal from each other. They become like wild animals. And so anyway, we've got the idea. We've got the idea of the Meshech Chochmah, and he teaches us not that we are ignoring Vatishoches Haaretz. We're not suggesting that the Rebbeinu Shalom is not taking any notice of the big Averis. But the Rebbeinu Shalom stays his hand. The Rebbeinu Shalom doesn't punish immediately when a country is bad on account of the Averis that they're doing. But what makes him act, and of course he acts for that, and also for Vatishoches Haaretz, when Gezel became widespread, then it became very different, and the Rebbeinu Shalom says that under those circumstances, I have got to act. And so, when the Batanura tells us his system of rules of how we can look at a Levera and punishment, he's talking about the Yochid, whereas when we're coming to a Tzibah, the Rebbeinu Shalom looks very, very differently, and there is a reversal of priorities. Whereas for an individual, the main thing is looked at his eyes Averis, and what he does is Lashon Hara, etc. The Beis Din don't actually act on it. But when it comes to Tzibahs, the priorities reverse themselves, and Rebbeinu Shalom is prepared to overlook the major Averis, but on bad behavior en masse, the Rebbeinu Shalom takes issue with that and will not tolerate that. So, we see that, he says, with the difference between the way the Rebbeinu Shalom reacted with the Egel, the Maiso Egel, which was after all Avodah Zorah, eventually, with a lot of effort on the part of Moshe Rabbeinu, the Rebbeinu Shalom forgave Klal Yisrael. Yeah, we were forgiven for the Egel, Slachti Kidvorecha. But on the Maiso of the Meraglim, we were not. It says, Taka, on the Maiso of Meraglim, that the Rebbeinu Shalom was not Meichel them, and they all had to die. All the Avrayonim, all those that took part in the Lashon Hara of the story of the Meraglim, that's of course an instance of the whole community becoming corrupt in the Nimusios. Yeah, in the behavior of Lashon Hara, that the Rebbeinu Shalom is not prepared to forgive. And that's why the Gezerah was, B'midbar hazeh yitamu, that this midbar will claim your lives, will claim your bodies. And we understand the difference now between the Egel and the Parsha of Meraglim. Same principle. At the Yam Suf, we have a very interesting comment by the Malachim in Shemayim. They were complaining. The Malach at the Yam Suf was saying to the Rebbeinu Shalom, you know, they're Mitzrayim in the Yam and the Yidna in the Yam. They're both walking through the Yam. And of course, Malachim knew perfectly well that the Rebbeinu Shalom was going to rescue, going to save the Yidden, and going to drown the Egyptians. And the Malachim complain, look, Halolu Avodah Zorah, Halolu, yeah, they both worshipped Avodah Zorah in Mitzrayim, so why are you going to treat them differently? Why are you going to do all these miracles, yeah, the miracle of the Yam Suf, the splitting of the Yam Suf? After all, they were Avodah Zorah. And it says even there that the Sar Shel Hayom, the Sar of the sea, heard this discussion and wanted to drown them immediately. Yeah, what? Avodah Zorah? Avodah Zorah? I'm not acting for Avodah Zorah. As long as I thought they were tzaddikim, fine, I'll split for you. But when he heard this discussion, the Malachim saying that they were Avodah Zorah in Mitzrayim, all of a sudden the Sar Shel Hayom wanted to drown them on the spot. Yeah, the Rebbeinu Shalom stopped the Yam and gave an answer, whatever it was. However, the shaila is, and the kasha is, that when the Rebbeinu Shalom wants to do Nisim for Klal Yisrael, we see that the Malachim complained at the Yam Suf. Well, there's a long history of Nisim. Yeah, before that there were the Eser Makkos, there were the 10 Makkos, where the Rebbeinu Shalom did gewaltige Nissim against the Mitzrayim and promoted the Yidden. Why didn't Malachim claim then? Why didn't Malachim complain then? I didn't wait until the Yom Tov to complain.
And that was even before Korban Pesach. By Korban Pesach, they threw away the Avodah Zorah. But the Makkos, the Esser Makkos, they didn't throw away Avodah Zorah. They were still doing Avodah Zorah. If you could answer by Yom Tov, yeah.
There's a difference. That was punishment of the Egyptians. This was salvation for the Jews. That was the object was different.
Both. They were free that year.
But basically, it was dishing out punishment for the Egyptians' activity.
No, they were not. They're saving the Jews.
It wasn't. The Shibbut was already finished.
They were standing by the Yom Tov. They didn't know where to run.
There is a theme. There is a theme running through all the Sedras and Shmos, all those Sedras that deal with the Makkos. There's one word which repeats itself over and over again, which is the crucial key, v'hiflesi. Yeah, the Rebbeinu Shalom keeps saying v'hiflesi. In other words, I want to show you the difference between the way I treat Rishoim and Tzaddikim. In other words, they were being treated as Tzaddikim, v'hiflesi. That is the main point that the Rebbeinu Shalom, I can differentiate. I have total control. Yeah, so the Rebbeinu Shalom was demonstrating. So they were treated as Tzaddikim. And the Malachim should have said, well, what's the difference? They're both going to the place to worship Avodah Zorah. They're both doing. We can make excuses for the Yidden, of course we can. Because they were surrounded by these Avodah Zorah. They were also slaves. They couldn't help themselves. But Lamaisa, the Malachim was saying at the Yom Tov they were Avodah Zorah. So whether they were forced, whether they were voluntary, etc., Lamaisa, I'm not doing it for them, says the Yom. Whereas in Mitzrayim, they were treated as Tzaddikim and there's no complaint. There's no complaint. The Pasuk says v'hiflesi, and so the Rebbeinu Shalom is saying they are tzaddikim, they are Rishoim, so you can't complain. I reject your ha'ara.
I'll not pursue it.
Okay. I think the terminology is you rest your case. Dormant. Okay. Okay, let's go on. So anyway, the Meshech Chochmah raises this point that there's where is the complaint? During the Esser Makkos. Why only the complaint now? And we are told the following, that in Mitzrayim, the Yidden were very together. They were mu'ushorim, in the words of Meshach. Mu'ushorim, they were straight with each other. There was no telling tales, and you know that the taskmasters even took the punishments, you know, that they were meant to urge their workers to work in harder, and they took the punishment. There was a great unity in Mitzrayim. Tremendous unity. So as long as there is unity, as long as they're dealing straight with each other, then of course the complaint about Avodah Zorah, even though it was there, the Malachim had nothing to say. Okay, in a tzibah, we close our eyes to that. That's the bit, we just learned it. But in the Yom Tov, they split up into 4 camps. There were those who wanted to go on, there were those who wanted to go back. They were quarrelling about Yom Bizas Hayom, etc. They were arguing with each other. So all